This I usually do once a day, sometimes twice. In school, they tried to teach us to do this on command, with the word busy used repeatedly, so it can be managed in a suitable place. But I was at the back of the class playing with one of my friends during that lesson, and consequently the word has no effect on me. So I have worked out a compromise with M. I rarely do it in our garden, preferring the footpath during the first kilometre or so of a walk. As a lady, I squat for both performances, so how does M know which is happening? Number one is quick, and when done, I hop up and immediately walk on. But for the other, it takes a bit of time and effort, and when done, I stand across in front of him as if to say, "Now pick it up." But how does he know where it is? When I squat, I notice his foot moves near my hind quarters, as if to mark the area until he produces a plastic bag and does his civic duty. The bigger problem is finding a bin, as the local authority have a real aversion to bins. Overall, while inconvenient for him, calls on nature can't be avoided, and as I have described, it is easier for him when I am on the lead rather than in the garden where he can't see it to clean up. Food. I am a Labrador, a true scavenger. Off the lead, I often try to dodge M's attention to indulge my habit. Inside, I love to vacuum all the crumbs, just to help the person whose job it is to clean up, of course. M feeds me twice a day, and as the appointed time gets close, I come and nudge him, not even gently, under the arm. If that doesn't work, I go around and do the same under the other arm. When he finally succumbs and picks up my bowl, I dance and skip with delight. But there is a ritual before I am allowed to taste a morsel. With the food in the bowl, I am told to sit and wait, which I have learned to do, as failure results in its removal until I comply. The OK signal is 3 short blasts on his whistle, and I dive in. Regimental or what? When I am allowed to run loose in the park, and he wants me to come back, the same 3 blasts mean food. The Labrador in me brings me back when I know I will get a treat. I suppose this is OK, as M can't see me and needs to know where I am. The bell he attaches to my collar helps him hear me also. Buses. I have learned that as we approach those yellow poles, there are certain ones that cause M to say, "Find the pole," and I make a beeline for it, as I know there is going to be a treat when I find it. If he says nothing, I go past it, just hoping for those food words. Find is a welcome command, as I quickly learn to find things like poles, steps, doors, etc., as some result in a reward. Most bus drivers are very good to us, as indeed are most passengers. I usually take M to a seat just past the stairs, totally avoiding that bit of a seat by the luggage area where drivers or others like to direct us. M hates that seat, and I don't like it there either. That is where people like to stand, and as I am at low level, I am often not seen, and consequently get walked on. While I don't like being physically manhandled, M usually does manage to tuck me in safely. This is a great opportunity for conversations, as many people like to talk to me and pet me. I have heard humans say that I am a bit of a charmer, and this is an opportunity to turn it on big time. But here are 2 stories with a difference. On one occasion, M sat in the disability area beside a middle-aged lady who did not appear in any way disabled. When I leaned against her legs, she barked aggressively at M to get me away, not once, but twice. There wasn't a lot of room, and M explained the seat was for people with disabilities. That was ignored, and none of my charm was going to have any effect or thaw the atmosphere. Happily, most people offer seats and assist as best they can. Then there was the time when M sat beside a younger person, and after a few moments she was crying. She explained, "I don't like dogs." It became apparent that the lady had a psychological disability, so M tried to reassure her of my amicable disposition, but to no avail. Time for my charm. Shortly, Tears gave way to joy, and she kept saying, "I think she likes me," and gave me more than a few snuggles. Other travel. I love to travel by car, as it usually means we are going somewhere interesting. I am always eager to jump into an open car door, and I lie quietly in the footwell, never on the seat. I usually shed some of my lovely golden hair on the floor to leave as a memento, although that applies everywhere I go, not just in cars. Trains are fun, too. Some stations have gaps between the platform and train, which I will happily leap across, provided M lets go of the handle and extends my lead. Otherwise there is a nasty hole to fall into. Once aboard, there is usually a table under which I can have a leisurely snooze. But then there was the day when M and his brother first took me on the London Underground. Humans were everywhere, both on the trains and in the stations. It was like a colony of ants, all scurrying relentlessly hither and thither in single-minded pursuit of something. All this rush and bustle was foreign to my doggy world. One day, all three of us went to Euston Station to take a normal train, but once we left the Underground train, we discovered that there were no lifts to be found. I am not allowed on those moving stairs that humans call escalators, since my claws get caught in the moving parts. Enquiries confirmed there really were no lifts, even there, in one of London's largest stations. Unfazed by this, they contacted a member of staff, and the solution was to stop one of the escalators, much to the inconvenience of others in a hurry. I felt very important with this special attention as we climbed the very, very long stairs from the bowels of the earth to its surface. But how did we get to London in the first instance? M had told me about this thing called an aeroplane, which turned out to be like a giant bird with stairs leading up to what appeared to be a door on its side. My first attempt at these steep stairs failed, but the secret was to wait until it was completely clear of people, and then take it very carefully and non-stop. Once inside, M was shown to a seat, but what about me? Since we had chosen to travel with Ryanair, who were not allowed to charge for me, they certainly weren't going to give me any space. Whilst a bit tight, I was more than happy to lie at M's feet, but as I am quite large, I do spill over a bit to the next seat. So far, other passengers have been very accommodating, even delighted with my charm. I do hope we don't encounter someone like the lady on the bus I described earlier. M reassures me that if that happens, he will call one of the staff to sort it all out. Otherwise, it is much like a bus, except it doesn't stop to let people out along the way. Oh, and yes, I do have my own passport, which I proudly present when asked, even if immigration officials like to take a very long time over it, as if I were an alien. Church. This is a completely new experience for me. Despite his lack of sight, M both organises and does quite a number of tasks around the church property, so I take him there quite frequently. Consequently, I know every inch of the place and love just following him around. And of course, there are lots of people to charm. On Sundays we go into the church part, sitting somewhere amongst loads of humans. I behave very well, and although I get a bit bored, I attract a lot of admiration. The humans sing and listen to people speaking at the front. Sometimes there is applause for birthdays or special achievements, and M tries to train me to clap with my paws, a work in progress. I certainly jump to attention when it happens, but I wonder what this church business is all about. I hear M say it is because he has a relationship with Jesus Christ, but I don't understand that. If my English and his doggy language were better, I would love to discuss that with him. I know it's all over when I hear a loud Amen. I then jump up to move on for tea and coffee in the adjoining hall, and cuddles for me. There are always crumbs falling, so I help with the cleaning by licking them up. While I am always kept on the lead on Sundays, I do get to talk to loads of people I love.